Whoa. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's ECS Hangout. How's everybody doing today?
How am I doing?
Good. Well,
I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it.
we're always a little late today. Today was my fault again because we're constantly trying to figure out this sound thing for my stuff. So I'm hoping everything sounds good. If it sounds great, leave something in the comments, everybody. You are here watching once again our weekly show, ECS Hangout, where we talk about all things automotive. We are available on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all the major platforms, and we're sponsored by Control Freak, which is controlfreakcompany.com. Sell some awesome products over there. Take a look at them and let us know what you think there. Also, if you want to, we have ecsmagazine.com. Don't forget to head over there to say hello. And today we're going to jump right in. I got to get my little notepad up, so I got to remember all the guests that are staying in today. We have, as usual, Reggie, myself, Primo, the moderator today. And then up top left is Reggie, who is the Lord of ECS Magazine. Say hello, Reggie.
Hello.
And then over in the top right is no stranger to the show. Would you like to introduce yourself, Joel?
I am Joel Chappell of NewEnglandAutoShows.com.
We're so happy to be here, aren't we?
.com.
NewEnglandAutoShows.com. Okay, so, and then lower left, introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Sergio Souza. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I'm the international head of the Swift chapter. I've been doing the car show scene for about 30 odd years. Just here to hang out and shoot. Yeah.
Does anybody on your team work with internet connections?
Oh yeah, we definitely got to work on internet connections. That's for sure. At least we can this weekend today and actually talk about topics today for once, eh? Instead of going dat.
Well, he's got that Trudeau internet connection.
Trudeau.
Well, censored us in Ontario.
Good fishing in Quebec.
Yeah, right.
That's a good thing you're going to find in Quebec.
All right. So let's see. How's everybody's car doing?
I'm sitting in it.
Well, 2 are done. 1 more to go.
Okay. How about you, Joel?
The Corvette is running good, but is safely hiding away while the front road is ripped up for a new water main.
There you go. Okay, how about you, Reggie? You got good stuff as the car's ready? We ready for King of the Hill on Saturday?
No, they didn't pick it up and do the inspection. But we're waiting on it. I heard somebody's crickets after I said that.
Right. Well, I believe that you and I are going to be making a guest appearance on Hot Rods on the Hill this Saturday. Is that right? Or is that a semi-plan I think we got right now?
Yeah, as long as nothing else bad happens, yeah.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so the plan is we're hoping that we're going to go over to Hot Rods on the Hill with the Creeps. They have a very cool hot rod, or excuse me, I don't even know how to say it now. The tub, the hot rod. Anyway,
T-bucket.
Thank you, T-bucket. They have a T-bucket they're going to be giving away for charity for Boston Children's Hospital, I believe, and they're going to be accepting stuff for it. I am going to put some more tickets in. I don't expect to win, but I do expect to put in some more tickets. But I'm hoping that we're going to get a little bit of coverage on that for the show here on this Saturday. So,
and September the 10th, ECS Joe will be at the Import Evolution Show in Worcester, Massachusetts. I think I said it wrong. And I am going to go to the Chicano's Lowrider Barbecue Picnic on September the 10th.
All right. Are you going to be recording that and showing it live stream, or?
Oh, yes, sir.
Because I'm all about the picnics. So, all right.
Oh, yeah.
So tonight, what I just one of the things, and I brought up the topic tonight. We were talking back and forth about it, and I just think this is one of the coolest things ever. If you guys haven't seen it recently, Koenigsegg went a little retro and brought out their Koenigsegg CC850 which is a dedication to their Koenigsegg CS. Now, first, I was like, well, it's a $4 million car for one. But I wanted to look at it, and there was a lot of little things that they were talking about it that really excited me about it. And it has, so it has a regular internal combustion engine, but it's a flex fuel, so it can use E85 ethanol. In fact, it makes 1,300 horsepower on E85. It'll run regular gasoline as well, and it comes with a 9-speed transmission that actually has a clutch pedal, so it can go over to 9-speed automatic, or you can put it over into a regular, so it's like a gated shifter. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I can't believe they did this. It's a very simplistic setup that they went with. And then on the same heels of this, I get another message that's saying that the Dodge Hellcat and the Dodge Charger and the Dodge this, that, and the other thing are being canceled. And at the same time, they announce a new car, and they say, well, this car is 100% electric, but here's a car that's going to have gears in it, which I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why are you having gears in a car that doesn't need it? It actually states in the article that they say it didn't need gears. And then they were like, a lot of people said that the vehicle was going to make noise by having speakers plugged up to it. But no, I asked about it. It actually has air baffles in it. So when it's going down, these air baffles pivot through it, and they make noise. So the noise that they're making is generated. It's not real noise, but they're trying to hype this thing as being a very loud car, and obviously making power and 1,000 horsepower or something. And I was just really confused at this. Like, why would you do that? If you're making this car and it's supposed to be, the next big thing is electric, the next big thing is, no gears, everything is automatic, blah, blah, blah. Why would you try to make it this old style thing? And I think what it was because of being able to capture what the Koenigsegg caught. In other words, trying to get that retro styling, but bring it into something new so that you can still maintain the buyer market. So, and this was the same thing we saw of Mustang going into their retro craze and doing their kind of thing. And I really want to talk about that and say, I think these dealers are getting a little bit worried about where they're going to go once they get to electric. I think they are worried about sales. And a lot of them, like Porsche, for instance, is focusing a lot on their older cars, people fixing them up and making them better. And, like I buy parts for my 944, and it was easier to get than they were parts for my new car. So a lot of these companies are starting to focus on retro. And I wanted to hear everybody's input on that. What do you think about that? Am I close to the mark here, or am I way off? What gives?
Retro's coming back. If you look at recently at some of the major heavy shows like Motorama, for example, I've noticed candy paint jobs, bill aluminum wheels, tanned interiors, stuff from like the mid 90s, I say.
Yeah.
The press, the bushings in the seats, the ovals in the seats, stuff like that. It's all coming back, but it's coming back slowly. I've noticed it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is it feels to me like they're trying to capture something because they know what's up, and they want to continue to, this is all they have, is what they used to be. And that really brings me to kind of like, Joel, what do you got on that? What do you think?
I'm dubious.
I like dubious.
Yeah. The Koenigsegg thing makes sense to me because it's Koenigsegg, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do, and they're not going to give a crap what anybody else is doing.
Right.
As far as putting out like a 9-speed manual transmission versus or combination 9-speed manual and automatic. Mm-hmm. Again, that as far as retro goes, I mean, to me, the only thing that's retro about the car itself is realistically the gated transmission or the gated shifter.
Right.
As far as the Mopar rolling out with the fake sound, which sounds awful.
Yeah, right.
I mean, let's be brutally honest. It sounds awful.
Right.
I think when I first heard it, I might have like vomited a little bit in my mouth a little bit and just said, this is the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. I think if I was suddenly like elevated to an automobile expert to the automobile manufacturers, I think if you want to go retro and win a market and also win the hearts and minds of an automotive community, I think it's time to go back to the mentality of, dad gets the small coupe commuter car, and if mom needs it, it's the large sedan slash hatchback slash minivan slash SUV type of thing. I think the biggest, I personally have stated in the past that the biggest problem with the marketing of the current automobile market is that it's so hyper focused on the crossover SUV market, right, that it's literally jammed it down everybody's throat. That that's all that's going to be appealing to the next market. The market of today doesn't remember the good old days of dad having the cool car and mom having the functional car, or vice versa, depending on who's the provider. If it's Mr. Mom, he's going to have the functional car. Mm-hmm. And I think women actually do like fast cars now today. I think we're seeing that in the enthusiast scene, where they if they don't like fast cars, they certainly like Jeeps or 4-wheel drive vehicles, kind of thing. I think the new car of tomorrow, I don't think it's retro. I think it's more of, we're going to focus fully on electric. We might add little things to kind of appease the existing older market, who might think, oh, that's kind of cool, kind of thing. But it's electric? Not. Huh?
I say something about electric.
How much it sucks?
Well, the way I look at it is, we get minus 40, minus 50 Celsius up north, right?
Yeah.
Here, basically about negative 20 plus the wind chill in the winter. I don't know about you, but how those battery packs going to handle at negative 20 for months? And those Tesla handles, how they going to hold out in our weather up here? Because I already know a lot of guys who have electric up here, and they put their Teslas away in the winter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's going to have to be like, now you have to plug them in and be on electric 100% all the time anyway, so that you can heat them.
And another thing I've been doing some reading on, if every household in Canada, for example, had an electric car, our grid couldn't handle it. They already have these issues in California.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to devalue too much back into the electric thing, because I think we have kind of talked about that ad nauseum. But that's the thing is it comes back to the idea of like, okay, so we're going to introduce a new electric car, and the electric car is going to have a gear shift. It's going to try to be manual. It's going to try to sound like a gas car, but it's going to be electric. And that car does, that Dodge that they showed it did look okay. It looked good. I mean, I've seen some electric cars that really excited me and didn't seem dull.
I mean, the DeLorean was like that. The DeLorean electric, that's an exciting looking car, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
But I heard it was an electric power plant. It just shot it. If I'm going to pay $100,000 for a car, I want a gas powered engine in it.
Yeah. So before we go ahead, I want our new guest here, who is no stranger to the show, to introduce yourself, buddy.
Oh, I'm the old Denny Mac, car enthusiast, and here to keep you guys in line tonight.
Oh, very good. I like it. Okay, now
sometimes somebody does.
Moderator 2.0. He just look over at Denny, look over at Reggie, and be like, "Mute that guy." Okay, so, but no, but that's the thing is so. What was the last thing you said there, Serge? I think it was you, Serge, that said something.
If I pay $110K for a car,
right. Mm-hmm.
I want gas, not electric.
Right, and that's the thing is there's that's going to dry up. But that I still think it comes back to the automaker who says, okay, how do I get somebody to trade in my brand new jailbreaked Hellcat to move into this 1,000 horsepower new car that is electric, that has hey, it's got a shifter in it, doesn't need it, but it has one, and it's got air baffles that make it loud. Like,
well, the air baffles, no, but
Right.
make it look like Will Smith's Audi and freaking iRobot, and I'm all over it.
See, and that's something too. Now, I think that if you move a car towards what we could call the retro styling of, let's say, Back to the Future,
right?
I still think you got to win there, because I think that's what that Hyundai Hydrogen. Nobody got excited about the car, I think, after they heard hydrogen. Some people did, but I don't think as many people thought that they got as excited, because it went. It's like everybody wants to see it, and then nobody wanted to talk about it anymore. But that
everybody
car,
rewatched the thing about the Hindenburg blowing up, and suddenly it was like, oh, geez.
Yeah, it was like, oh, look, explosive gas. It was like, only if I eat at Taco Bell.
Right.
The thing that I liked about that is that felt like the car that we should have got from the DeLorean. And I think that's why that car got excitement, was because it looked the part that it looked like it was out of, what's that game? What was that one that they just put out that had all the problems with it? Cyberpunk or whatever.
Oh, Cyberpunk. Yeah.
What was it called? What was the other one? I don't know. But anyway, that video game they put out, and it was like, hey, this is the future, people with robotic parts and stuff like that. And that hydrogen car really looked that role. You know what I mean? And it looked like what we thought was the future. So I think that if they made that as an electric car, you were getting into it because it had that retro styling. But it still goes back to being a retro car. Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
I can't wait for the all electric car show. The insurance is gonna be sky high.
Can you imagine what would happen? Can you imagine if it rained that day?
Everybody tripping over extension cords because it's my turn to get some juice.
Right. That would be amazing. This car show full of extension cords. That's good.
That's one hell of a bomb.
Right. Yeah, the hydrogen show would be a completely different concept. But yeah, but that's still, we go back to the idea of so new brands are looking over and saying, if we can't sell, look at the markup and say, have you seen the markup on that new Nissan that is floating around? It's like a $40,000 car, and it's got like markup to make it $100,000.
Yeah, here's the thing: how are new people supposed to get into the industry that want to buy a car when cars are over $100,000? That's the price of a friggin' house.
But that's the point is if they take that, if that market starts to dry up, people tell me like, well, the car is only this. And then I go, well, if you go in and it has to be marked up so much because the dealership's spending or selling a tenth of the cars they were before, especially new, then why do you get into the new car?
But what's really the market? I mean, I mean, I guess, what are you getting for that? Like, are you getting the charging station? Are you getting the, like,
No, I don't
Are they
think
going to send the electrician into your house to wire it up?
Right. Like what are you getting for that $100,000? I mean, that's what my curiosity factor is.
And you're not getting a charging station. Those are all additional expenses that come, because we have our hands on the Tacoma that's going to be, we already ordered it and have everything set up to say, okay, this is it. This is the electric move. Let's see what it does. And you got to wire up the house a certain way. You have to buy the charging. You have to set up, because we have solar. So we're setting up the solar system for all that stuff. Is all additional expense that is really just to support the vehicle, because, and they tell us, oh, it's going to support this. And it's going to support. I'm like, when you start plugging that vehicle in, it's going to take away all those things that we built up for, let's say, the heating and the cooling. Some of it, I think, will go a little bit into water heating, but it has to be how that's set up to make it work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I look at it. If you're spending all that money on an electric car, like it's here's the thing: they're trying to convert to electric, but what the governments are just going to do to us? They're just going to jack up our electric bill.
Well, yeah, I don't want to get too much into the weeds on that, but that's the thing is like, okay, so we've now put, let's say we do a mega car like the Nissan. That car is now marked up $100,000 because they're not spending a lot or not selling a lot of cars. Now, does the electric look more like a viable option, or does that still say, look, I'm gonna find a way to buy the $100,000 new, or does it just say, you know what, I want, when I take my car, especially tuner guys, they're gonna get this old car, they're gonna do it up, they're gonna do work to it, they're going to go back to old school and find something old school and rebuild it or restructure it, and as I always say, there's going to come back to the kit car market. So we're going to go back into kit cars again.
Actually, it's a good thing you brought that up, Primo, because look how many people are ripping the engine. I mean, the battery pack out of the Teslas and dropping LSs into them right now.
All right.
Yeah.
As soon as, well, figure out $20,000 for batteries or $10,000 for an LS swap into the Tesla. That's going to happen. It's going to open up a whole new door with these electric cars where they're going to be swapping LSs into them or Coyotes and crazy stuff like that. And
that's a very interesting thought too.
Hmm?
Yeah, that's very interesting to think about that. To say, hey, we've got these bodies, we don't know what to do with them. We're not spending $10,000 on a new battery. The last thing that I saw was replacing a volt battery was 28,000. I want to say, 28,000 to change the battery in a volt versus how much can you get a 4.3 liter LS motor and does it fit in the volt? You know, like those guys are spending those things like $400 or $500, and hey, I'll just restore it or I'll do whatever. I'll find a way to fit it in there, and somebody's gonna sell a kit because they want to.
You don't think one of those new Banshees, those new Chrysler cars, once the batteries go for the dumps, they're gonna swap that out and put an old school 440 in it for all you know, in one of those Banshees? I can see it. Or
yeah, I could definitely see that.
Oh yeah, I can see it. It wouldn't surprise me if someone buys that car just to rip the electric power plant out of it to drop a Hellcat in it for a SEMA.
Yeah. And now here's the thing. So here's my question that really, I think, nails it to the point. If Koenigsegg, I mean, Pagani's already said they're not making electric cars. They're going to stick with the old setup. Koenigsegg is doing the same thing now. They have their ethanol. They made the Gamera, so they have their spin on it, if you will, but it still goes back to they like using the ethanol setups in it. When does it come to the point where the car dealership, the car manufacturers out there think, you know what, maybe I just make something that's a simple, and let's bar the idea that the biggest problem they have to overcome is getting the EPA to sign off on it as a manual transmission. That's one of the biggest problems that Koenigsegg had, was they want to make this new system and they couldn't get it regulated in a way that emissions allowed it. So let's say we could get through that.
Bring back the Geo Metro.
Right. I mean, I know that seems like a stupid statement, but why not? I mean,
why not? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like
Aspire for Ford.
Right. My wife and I, when we first got married, we had a 1990 Geo Metro that I actually documented that I got 51 miles to the gallon on that thing. I actually had like documented proof that I was genuinely getting that, and I was getting 30 cents a mile for reimbursement kind of thing. So I was making money hands over fist when I was like using that as a as a car for work. Now, is it a great car by any means? No, but by the standards of the day, it was the most fuel efficient car ever.
That
was so underrated.
Yeah.
But that is probably like the retro move to go to. Is we're going to probably start seeing some 3-cylinder cars again. Like I don't think the combustion engine is gone forever for at least another couple of years, but I think gone are going to be I think V8s are going away for a while, or they're going to start, unfortunately, I would say by 2030, they're going to start disappearing.
Well, they have to get everybody. So everybody tells me that, well, my area is not making them illegal. And I said, well, the manufacturers are under the control of, they're not going to build 5 separate different cars.
No, because they're not going to get their government subsidies if they don't conform to it. So that's the matter.
Build one car that you sell in China, that you sell in the UK, that you sell in Germany, that you sell in California, that you sell in Massachusetts, that you sell in Virginia, that you sell. If you make that one car, and then you look at somebody and go, "Hey, your choice. You can have any car you want, as long as it's this." Like the whole, the high. You can have any beer you want, kind of thing, as long as it's this.
Primo.
What's that?
There's certain engines that are on the market that actually are the same engine in every manufacturer.
Yep.
Mitsubishi and Chrysler did it for years.
Oh yeah.
0.4, the World engine, the platform, the Evo engine's the same one. It's in the PT Cruiser. It's the same block. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think one of the things, to get back to the original point of I think good examples of going retro for the future. They're going to be electric versions of retro cars. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you're going to see Jeep Wranglers that are electric. We've already seen the concept vehicles, the Magneto. It actually had a very good debut. There's obviously going to be a G-Wagon Mercedes that's going to be. I think they even call it the. I want to say it's the EQG or something like that. So that's going to be out there, and I think that's where it's going. Corvette. There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be fully electric.
They've already said it.
They've already said they're going to do it. I mean, they're going to have a version. They're still going to have. They're still going to have some the V8 versions. The flat plane is. They put too much money. They put too much money into the flat plane to just only run it for 1 year.
Right.
You guys know that the GM platform, the battery platform, their main frame for their vehicles, they can drop any vehicle
on top of it.
Of it. The Corvette would already have it on the Corvette chassis. Yep. So,
but that still brings back to the idea that they so you have to, now you're forced to do something. You're now in the corner. Nobody's telling you're not going to do it. And that means that every car out there, why that's my thing. Why plaster the word Mustang on an SUV? It's not Mustang.
But they're going to do the same thing for Corvette too. There's going to be a Corvette SUV as well. And it's why? It's come on.
Because
that is a beautiful car. But that Mustang SUV is amazing.
But they have to ride the name. I can't even acknowledge.
I can't even take that seriously. I'm sorry. I'm
or Stingray Corvette and Slam turned it into an SUV. I hate to say it. When I saw that thing, I was like, my eyes, I swear they were going to bleed when I saw that thing. I was like, what?
No, again, I vomited a little bit in my mouth. And
but how about this? Let's add to the cheese, okay? So let's say all the so everybody sees Dodge get a little bit of success, and they go, you know what? All of our electric cars, we're going to use that baffle system so they make noise. Now and they'll say something about safety. We got to do it because
I was just going to say it's going to be all about safety.
And then the next thing is let's give them gearboxes, even though they don't really use the gearboxes. Does any of that? I mean, do they believe that that's going to sell a car? Is that really what they're thinking?
I don't care what anyone says. $175,000 for a car with no gasoline engine. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it. I would say that. I just wouldn't.
In all reality, with $100,000 electric car, look at the Teslas. Look at some of these other. I've yet to see one of the electric F-150s on the streets where I live. Mm-hmm. I've yet to see one of the electric Silverados on the streets where I live. Unfortunately, in today's society and what people are making, they can't afford to buy it anyway.
Right.
Well,
so here's another question then. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Here's an example. The Power Boost Ford, which is half electric, half gas, which is the crossover. It's like a Prius, pretty much. Okay. It's $140 in Canada.
Wow.
I know. My buddy just bought
$140,000 Canadian.
$140,000. My buddy just bought one. He has $140 for an F-150. They could only tow 14,000 pounds.
I would
go buy the used Chevy down the street for $10,000 and pull half my house with it.
I didn't even get it out before you said it. So yeah.
But I'd like to go back to the argument of an electric not needing gears. I disagree with that. I actually think you can make an electric much more efficient, at a minimum, having 3 separate gears.
He's right about that, because look what Jerry Rig did. His Hummer.
Yes.
You guys follow him? He's geared.
But I think the concept of gears down the road, or making a geared system that works within the platform, is not. I don't think it's far fetched. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think what's the bad idea is. I think what's the bad idea is when somebody says, "Yeah, that car is going to have a gearing system, but it really just doesn't do anything because it works within the platform itself." It's like, remember the old automatics, like was it Tiptronic transmissions, like. Why did you do that? Like it's got paddles, but it doesn't.
So you could feel like a Formula One racer.
Exactly, it's all feel, and that's the thing is they're doing these things to tap into that. I'm going to say nostalgia, familiarity, so that when you get into this car, you're going to say, "Hey, I'm in a Vet, but it has this, and this." That's to say, and and I've heard these arguments before. People look at me saying, "This is what it is," but when people talk about a car that excites them, they're going to talk about a car like a Koenigsegg. So you know what? Hey, why don't you do that speed stuff? Why don't you just make one car like this and see how it sells in comparison? Versus what Danny is saying, where he's going, I'm not even going to buy the new car. I'm just going to go out to a junkyard someplace, get a platform, restore that, put an engine in it, and there's going to be a shop someplace that's going to do that.
Hey, once one of those Banshees gets flood damage down in the southern states, I'll buy one, drop the health cabinet, and then I'll have it. Because we all know what happens to half these electric cars. The batteries go dead on them, or they flood damage out and they're no good anymore. So you wait till that happens, you drop a V8 in it, and you have one of the new platforms, so you'll have all the luxuries of the new platform with the power of a V8.
Can you imagine the horror, though, down there? And this is something that I said, this is something for 2036, 2037. There's going to come a point when they realize that, yeah, sure, that they've now forced the electric hand. Everybody's jumping into this boat now. And all of a sudden people go, hey, I'm putting V8s in. This makes more, this is more what I want. They're now putting those things in there. And there comes a point when they look over and say, okay, now you can't do engine swaps anymore. You can't do, and that's really what the EPA kind of planned with what the RPM Act was fighting against, was to say, you can make your car a race car, or you can do these changes to it. I know for a fact there's a couple of states that said they wanted to make it illegal just to swap any engine. So your new Corvette, if you wanted to put an electric engine in it, you couldn't. And that's the other plan is after that to say that any car that comes through when it does its EPA testing has to be at 0. In other words, it can't have any emissions. And that we're back to now people are going to, you see the old guys cooking the corn in their backyard and, I'm going to make my own ethanol. We're good. I got
what it's called.
Right. Yeah, I got you.
And here's the thing, don't get yourself. I don't mind electric. Like, look at that Audi that they're building for Ken Block right now. That thing, it's going to have like 2,000 pounds of torque and like 2,500 horsepower. That thing's a monster. But you get my point. It's just electrical's not practical. What happens when these lithium mines deplete? What are we going to do about batteries?
Yeah, and that's something I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of it, because we'll be here for all day doing it. It's really just the idea of saying, how do you get over the hump of selling a car that, like we're talking here, that I think there's a lot of people that don't want it or don't want to spend the money. What do? Auto manufacturer says, hey, we're going to do some baffles and it's going to make some noise. And, hey, now it's got some gears and, hey.
I mean, unfortunately, I think like putting the tinfoil hat on.
Go ahead.
I think we're pricing people out of vehicles,
right?
So that we can limit the movement of people.
There's only one.
That's crazy thought.
Hey,
it's a crazy thought, but I mean, look at the way it's going, though. I mean, it's legit. Like, I mean, again, tinfoil hat. Especially during COVID, we didn't want people moving around, kind of thing. And then
can you imagine the auto manufacturers? A lot of them that moved over into the China market and then had the China market say, by the way, you can't have any emissions in your vehicles. So they spent all Jaguar did it. I want to say Ford did it. A couple other companies went into that market just to be told, by the way, none of the cars you're marketing right now, you can sell here. Now to say, okay, all these guys, these auto manufacturers jumped on board with the legislation, got behind everything just to be told, by the way, we knew it was going to work this way, and you guys are going to get mothballed and go out of business. And, now we're not going to pay to bail you out this time. If you just crash, and there's just going to be a couple of different companies, and they don't like Tesla. So they're just going to try to get rid of Tesla too. Go ahead, Reggie.
Sergio, the bathroom is down the hall.
Yeah, right.
You know what bugs me about all this? I'm going to tell you guys right now. You know what bugs me about all this?
What?
A gas power engine can be as efficient as an electric.
Yep.
We all know this.
Mm-hmm.
When you tune cars up, you can actually make them run more efficiently than they are. Like Toyota has that little 3-cylinder that has over 700 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
it's efficient. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But they're not gonna every time, and I say this to people, I go, places that have inspection stations. Now, watch Joel cringe here. It's going to be great. I look over and I said, okay, there's inspection stations. Cars today are not built. Inspection stations were made in the 60s. They were made for cars that didn't have safety belts or airbags or 5-year maintenance plans to it. And I said, now today you have inspection stations that, when have you ever said, I'm certainly glad I got the car inspected because that prevented me from having an accident? You don't say it. It never happens. You go, oh,
until you go to Maryland.
Sure, okay, but
I mean, until you go to Maryland, like I honestly, like when I went to Maryland years ago, and you drive along on 95, and there's like every 2 miles there's a car on the side of the road with a blowout, broken down with the little tag from the police saying make sure to get your car out of here, kind of thing. And
did they have a past inspection station? I mean,
they don't have inspection. There's no inspection. There's no inspection, and that's the problem, is because there's a whole bunch of people that are literally driving their tires until they're bald and like
That's like Cleveland.
nothing.
That's like Ohio.
We have that here.
Ohio is the same problem.
But the beauty is we have it here, and the people just go, we just won't have it inspected. They don't.
Well,
there's nothing
like
to hold it to it and say, you know what? If you don't get your car inspected, the police show up at your house and wrangle your car and bring it to the inspection station and go, hey, by the way, you have bald tires.
No, but if you get pulled over, if you get pulled over and you're uninspected, then you get a ticket. And sometimes if it's really bad, they'll tow it away. But
yeah, no, they
ask me how I know that one.
They don't care. They don't care. And ask Danny, they don't care. They just like, hey, it's inspected. It is what it is. I'll just skip it.
I mean, full disclosure, my Jeep isn't inspected. So
go ahead. See, Serge, what you got?
But
Canada, we require safeties. When we purchase a vehicle here, we have to safety our vehicles. And now that they got rid of our stickers, our annual stickers, we think they're gonna be passing some legislation here in Ontario, Canada, or right across Canada wide, that we're gonna have to do safeties every 2 years.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, everybody's and that's the thing.
In New Hampshire, you do it every year. You get it when you register your car, because you have to re-register every year, and then you're supposed to get an inspection the same month. Kind of thing. So.
Right. But it's just a way to control it. It's just more, and we were talking about this control before.
I mean, it's all under the guise of safety, right?
Somebody's going to say, I'm going to put this 3-cylinder motor in a car that makes 1,000 horsepower, and somebody in some system somewhere in a government or somewhere, something is going to say, whoa. We at the EPA's job is to regulate so that these cars are not dangerous. So we got to make sure that it has a restrictive baffle that makes sure it isn't as efficient, that it has to have 4 different mufflers on it and 6 catalytic converters and all those things that choke it up so that it won't run like crap. And it really is bad for the environment now. And it has awful gas mileage. But hey, You know,
But I mean-
we're safer, right? You know,
But I mean, it's also worse than that too, because it's getting to the point right now that I don't know what it's like down in Mass and any of the other states that you guys are in right now. But like Channel 9 News is the local New Hampshire affiliate of ABC,
Yeah.
and it is now a weekly occurrence where, as well as the murder news, as well as the robbery news, then for both of that murder and robbery, not one mugshot. But lately, it's been so and so was pulled over for doing 130 miles an hour.
Oh, we got that here too, man.
And on Route 89 or Route 93, or pick your interstate highway.
I don't know how they were going that fast with the roads being as crappy as they are.
Right? I mean, and legit, they pulled over. It's
Right.
like, right? Like they pulled over, and it's like, I mean, I'm kind of like of that. Like there isn't a guy over 40 watching that newscast who isn't thinking to himself, well, shit, I've done 120 at least 6 or 7 times in the like.
Oh, those
maybe,
guys, they definitely do. Don't shake your head like that. You know you did.
You know you did.
Yeah, you didn't go to Mexico to do the speeding thing. You just.
That's right.
My favorite one was
my mother's Camry could hit 128 miles per hour according to the
limiter. Yeah.
Right.
It was 132, sir. 132.
that Camry would hit 100 once, and that would be the last time it would ever do it.
Right.
Sergio, you were saying something?
Well, what I was saying? Well, here's the thing. The EPA wants to control emissions, but if they just let these engines flow the way they're supposed to, we wouldn't have the pollution we got.
Don't tell them that. Oh my
God.
So
funny story that you mentioned that, Sergio. A little bit of history. Margaret Thatcher was actually a chemistry major when she went to school.
Interesting.
And she argued against catalytic converters.
Really?
Very highly.
I've heard about this. I'll be reading about
she was arguing for lean burn technology. In other words, make the carburetors and the fuel injections much more efficient and much more leaner, and you'll get a much better burn, and you'll have less dangerous hydrocarbons and chemicals that come out of a catalytic converter. And of course, everybody looked at her and said, well, you're a woman and you're in government, so what the hell do you know? But little did they know that she was actually a chemistry major, and she actually had the science to back this stuff up, but they still gave her no credence over it, kind of thing. And I think that should have been the way we went way back in the 70s. Like
great women creators being held back, allowing us to have better cars. There we go.
We would have had better cars. We would have had better, faster cars with more horsepower, with lean burn. We're doing lean burn technology now, but now we're further choking them down with a catalytic converter on top of it.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it just, no logic. Go ahead, Serge.
Diesel. These guys blowing coal, whatever, rolling coal. That's actually hurting their engine. Coal runs clear out of the pipe.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
And more horsepower of a clear pipe than you will out of a rolling coal.
But Sergio, it's that age group. Yeah. You don't see old man Bill with that 1998 F350 7.3 power stroke diesel motor in it doing stupid shit like that. Yeah, it's the kids between the ages of 18 and 27 that mommy and daddy bought that truck and they don't care.
You saying grumpy old men don't have crackle tunes?
No, I ain't seen none yet.
Well,
and that one grumpy old man that does, he's got that switch where he can turn it off and on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He'll go out there and do the show with it, and then he turns it back off, so his truck is running perfectly fine.
That
Yeah.
was the best stuff we ever did. Was the old bypass exhaust thing. You go to the show and the loudest car ever. You're like, I couldn't drive around like that. I press the little button and a little louver comes back in. It's back to the quiet, muffled world that my ears can stand. Yeah,
Back then, as good as now. If they closed back then.
yeah.
Right.
They didn't always close, right? But yeah, that's I mean, we're getting back to, and we keep saying it, is there's kind of this concept of how we want to move to the future is gripping a hold of the past as hard as we can. And now we're seeing these automakers do it, and it's not new. It, like I said, it happened back with what is it, the retro Thunderbirds. It happened with the Mustang. It happened.
Camaro.
Now we had the Chargers and the Hellcats, and now when they make this way, make a new car, they can't make anything new. They have to make it look like something else, feel like something else, but it's not something else.
So
Like
you're
that
saying
beautiful
we're
new
going to have electric
Mustang
Model T.
SUV.
The SUV, yeah, Serge.
The new release GT. You guys seen that new release?
Mm-mm.
Trans Am Company just released the Chevelle. The thing is beautiful. It's retro.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? They're taking the Camaro off the body and they're dropping the Chevelle on it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Actually, it's in proportion to the Chevelle.
They're not
I've
going to
seen
pay me,
something.
but I know where that company's located. But it's also the same company that does Trans Ams.
Yeah, it's
And the
Trans Am
Firebird.
America.
Company.
I see it now. Yeah.
They don't pay us, so we can't say it out loud.
Mhm.
No, I can say it.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can.
If I could find it, it means that they're saying the Chevelle Super
But that car's
Sport,
100 grand too.
and it's
they
also
did a better job than GM.
LS6
Wait,
with a
It's got a
1500
V8 in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got
I'll
1,500
pay for
horsepower. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to sell me 100,000 and the car makes 1,500 horsepower, or if
Oh, yeah.
100,000, I'm in. Let's do it. You know,
Life payment plan. Yeah.
right? And I think we're back
Listen,
to that
I-
thing of saying, if you have 100,000 to spend, where do you spend it on?
I've
And
told
the
my
hybrid
wife.
Mustang is where I'm going.
Well, you know what I was going to say, but I'm not going to say it.
Go ahead. Don't
Well,
say it.
I'm buying a Bandit or a Chevelle.
Right.
If I was spending that kind of
I've already told my wife if we win the lottery, I am instantly going down and I'm putting an order in for the Camaro Trans Am conversion for, let's say a Bandit edition. That's totally. And then my daughter wants a gold one. She wants like
So here
all gold version of it.
This is just got. I mean, you guys are all saying the same thing again. It's every time we win the lottery, we get our money. What do? We go buy.
Yeah.
How about
we
a
take
Tesla?
something new and we
Not
make it
buying a
something
Tesla.
old. He's gonna rebody his Tesla into a Trans Am. Done.
I'd actually find a 55 Nomad shell,
Mm.
and then I'd do a modern LS in it with twin turbos. I do an independent suspension.
Yeah.
I'd
And
modernize it.
That's something that somebody else
So
shares
you're
with. They
just
said,
in Canada pissing off the EPA up there right now.
oh, he
Um,
yeah.
We got. Hey, I'll tell you one more thing. Our safety blitz stuff here is bad. Long story short, I went to a show 2 weeks ago, Tri-City Expo. Every cop in Waterloo region was at the show, watching over the show and pulling people over on the way out of the show. That's how they treat us up here.
Yeah.
So
What do you have for do you have a division that's like EPA up there, or is it just
Well, the police up here are actually trained. Some of them are trained in roadside safety inspections. They actually have their safety inspection certificates. Then we also have,
that's great.
then we have the Ministry of Transportation, the MTO, which is your equivalent to your DOT, which is your sheriffs, your departments,
Right.
which they can pull any vehicle in Ontario over for thing. But MTO usually only messes around with big trucks. They don't bother with the car.
The
But
same thing as Australia. Australia does the same thing.
that's DOT is the same thing. They only care about trucks and
Mhm.
You'd be surprised. I've seen some state marshals, their DOT pull over some sketchy trucks. I'll tell you one little thing. Going from Michigan, you see some messed up things as a truck driver.
When it
Like,
comes
I'll
to
take a
truck
truck-
driving, I'm amazed at some of the stuff they get away with.
Yeah.
But yeah, the good guys, they're all still the good guys, and that's not a knock. That to me, I feel it's an exception more than the rule. But I haven't done any truck driving since, good Lord, like 93 $394. So
That's
yeah.
when I did it.
Well, you
They're
guys,
the real heroes of the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I delivered frozen pizza.
Nice.
That counts.
Yeah, that counts. That will definitely. Seriously, when the world falls
And my
apart, the
international
frozen
DT
pizza guy is the guy.
4600.
you guys always got to remember everything comes in a truck.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And a few of my buddies are the ones picking up these Teslas down in Chicago and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know how many times they got into a vehicle and they couldn't move it because the batteries were completely dead in it from
Oh, all the time.
Oh yeah.
from dead batteries.
Oh yeah. That's
So that
that wouldn't shock me because the new cars are like that, like regular cars.
couple later down the road.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things I learned since I've got introduced to the Tesla world, I don't own one, was I was going at work and I started hearing the word help. And I get out and find said individual screaming for help. Her batteries were dead in her Tesla, so she had to ride in the back of a tow truck.
Wow.
What kind of safety feature is that?
Mm-hmm.
To the dealership to get some juice to unlock the doors so she can get out.
Yep.
That right there said, nope, I don't need an all-electric car.
Right.
That's something I haven't tested yet, and I want to test because somebody said that before. It was so funny. It reminds me when I was younger, my grandmother was always like, make sure your battery is good in your car. And I was like, why is that? And she goes, you can get stuck in the car. And there was this lady and she was stuck in it and overheated and it killed her. And I was like, Grandma, I'd shut off everything, lock the doors, and I pull the door. And once you pull it, the auto lock pops up. So the door just comes open. It didn't matter if it was dead or not. And I'm like, which car was this? She didn't get it. And they had these safety stuff. I mean, that's true of a lot of cars. I don't know any cars back in the day that couldn't open up. But
From the inside, anyway. From the inside.
Right. But then you get into something like you get in like a McLaren or something. There's been people that said, okay, I've got some issues getting out of my McLaren because of dead batteries and stuff like that. And we've seen some of the high end cars have some issues. So it makes me wonder if maybe it was a high end car story. And, the F40s, they come with little leather straps and ropes to open the doors. It's not, you know what I mean? It's a different world.
But have you noticed that have you seen these new phone chargers they got for your car that have glass hammers built into them?
Glass? No, I haven't seen the glass hammers.
Jerry Rig just tested them. Okay.
Wow.
And it's for
I've seen the glass hammer, but not one that's a charger too. Wow, multifunctional.
Great.
Yeah, Larry, you push it. Larry, you pull it out of your charging port. You push it in. You put it up the window, and it pops. It'll smash the glass. It's for that reason. For these guys who are getting locked in their cars with their electric cars.
Well, a lot of people. I mean, honestly, like in my experience of like in sales of glass hammers and the like, they were always sold either to myself or to other people as if you crash into the Potomac or the whatever river, and suddenly your car starts flooding and you have an electric, all electric or whatever, or electric locks or whatever. First thing first, it's hard to open a door when in the middle of your car being flooded.
Right. It's impossible.
You're supposed to wait till you're
supposed to wait till you have like just barely, Yeah.
Good luck doing that when all your adrenaline just went through the roof and you've never done it before.
So now you're selling all these adrenaline people like these hammers so that like right as soon as they crash in, they can bust out their window and crawl out of the car after they get flooded initially anyway. But whatever, it is what it is. I think the whole retro market is. I think if they want to go retro, go. But if anything, let's go back to like the retro cars of tomorrow. And I don't know if I think. And I think I used the example already is like the Audi that Will Smith drove in make a car, make a car like that, and I'm all over it, kind of thing.
That's the thing. Concept cars are always more beautiful than the actual end production. You
Right.
get all hyped up. Get all hyped up.
But why? But why? Do you know why?
Cost.
No, because their cost has played a key role like that.
Right.
With the new Charger, that was they had the Chrysler 300 and they said, look, we can use the bodies and just put Dodge Dakota noses on it. Done. But usually what happens is there's a person who's an artist and they're not restricted by regulation.
Yeah.
So when I make a car and I go, I'm going to draw whatever I want. Here's the car. And you go, look, it has a gigantic cool glass roof. And then you show that to somebody at NHTSA and they go, no.
It does.
That ain't gonna work.
Right. Yeah, they're not doing that. One accident later, somebody covered in glass, and the other thing is too is there's a bean counter somewhere. I'm sure a lawyer that's saying we can get sued for making a car like that, and it goes through 100 hands like that until it comes back, and you go, hey, by the way, that concept car that you made doesn't look like anything like they made. The only company I've ever seen that was really good about making a concept that eventually became the real car was Hyundai. They really could make a concept and go, okay, this is it. But they're also known for making concepts that are so out there that they will never build that. So, and that's, you know what I mean? This new one that they put, the Envision, it really makes me wonder if we'll ever actually see a car like that. But Korea has that hydrogen support system available to them. So I wouldn't doubt it if they actually made that car and all the Korean people had it and that's it,
Yeah. Well, they always get the cool cars over there. We don't get the cool cars they get there. We all know this.
Yeah. And that comes back to regulation. It comes back to, have you crash tested 15 of those yet? Like,
Who was it? Bill Gates, who had that one Porsche he couldn't drive for 20 years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a couple too. There's a couple of them that were like that.
Yeah.
Like when McLaren F1s first came into the US, that was a debacle in and of itself. There was a point when somebody called a mulligan and said, look, there's 9 here now. They all are okay, and we're not going to say anything about them. But they told the company you can't ever bring another one in. And the ones that you see was because a bunch of rich guys fought and said, hey, we want to make the show exception rule, which is really we can import a car, we can do it because they're super rare. So that's how they got the Paganis in. That's how they got the Koenigseggs, and a lot of the old like Lambos and stuff like that were considered unique. So for Ferrari F40, you can import that. There's not 1,000 of them. There's one. And then the only other exception to that rule was the stuff that came in that had a version here that you could just take the parts of and put it in, like a 240SX, for instance. But it made importation of like Skylines, that's what made them so difficult, is because everything had to be documented out and done out. And I don't think people really fully realized what went into and entailed legalizing those cars to make them come over and be what they were. But now that you say, hey, by the way, the next car you buy is $100,000, and I go, okay, if I have to spend $100,000, then maybe I'm going to buy a Skyline, and import that. It's 25 plus years. I spend another 20,000 or whatever putting in all the glass and all the stuff, and look at the cool car I got. It's a 4-door. It's whatever. There's a lot of cars out there, and people don't realize it until you say, hey, you can't get what you want, and somebody goes, oh, don't think I can't. You know what I mean? And they do.
The Toyota Crown comes with the same motor that's in the Supra, right? Imagine I know a guy who's got a Toyota Crown. The thing is beautiful.
Yep.
Big luxury car with a turbocharged motor. A beautiful car.
People don't realize how much room these Toyotas have amazing compatibility issues, like things that they can do that they're over here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Like there's sometimes not, I've seen LS motors in MR2s. Like you really can put an LS in almost anything. And it's the thing is
one in a Volkswagen.
That's the thing is people take those things as a challenge. The one that always shocked me was the 911s with the V8 engines in the back. That just like, how'd you fit that in there? Because you can't tell people know how to turn a wrench. And now we have, now we're in a 3D printed world. we're in a world where access to information means if I want somebody to fabricate something, I can get on the phone right now and I know I could get in touch with 3 guys that can build me a frame, 3 guys that can build me a body, another 3 or 4 guys that can build an interior or whatever, find me an engine and slap it together with Frankenstein parts, and whatever car I want to build, I can build it. And it wouldn't be as expensive as you think if you had the right guys working with you.
Yep, exactly. Like, why spend 107,000 on a new car when you can go get something cool old and make it modernized and give it your own little twist?
Right. And that's, I think, like I said, I just think that it comes a point when these manufacturers are going to have to, they're the retro thing right now. They're already thinking about it. They're already seeing sales issues. They're already seeing a dried up lot.
Well,
Yeah.
Here's another thing. A lot of people don't realize it. You guys think you dried up these dried up lots because there's no cars. We had the chip shortage.
No electricity. Yeah. No chips. Yep.
No chips. I know a lot of the F-150s coming in Ontario don't have heated seats because of the chip shortage right now.
Right.
And they're 6 months behind on car production right now. They're not going to catch up this year.
So imagine this, right? And this is how we'll end it tonight. Imagine you're a car company and you say, look, everything that person has is right here on their phone. Let's not build all that chip stuff. Let's just build a little Wi-Fi plug that plugs into the phone or your iPad, whatever you have a little space on the front that you put that there. This is your phone. Your phone is going to be your your memory, management. All your engine management, everything. Or you don't even have to do engine management. Just keep it simple, stupid. Just say, you know what? I'm going to make a flex fuel E85 can run 91 octane or 91 octane or E85. The computer is your phone and it plugs right in.
Software upgrades to do.
You just do everything through the phone. And the thing is when you buy a new car, you take your phone, you go over to your new car, you plug your phone up and you go, there's the next buyer just comes in and flips a switch. And now he's got all the stuff there. And the only thing you have to worry about really is lights and, if you want to have heated seats and all that other stuff. But again, here's your app. This requires a phone to work or something like that. And maybe it needs a flash every once in a while, but that's another bill that can be that $150 to do your flash, to do your update for your new. I bought a new upgraded iPhone, but I don't have the flash or my new Android. So that's that.
And unfortunately, that technology is already out there.
Yeah, I don't think it's outside the realm of impossibility. I mean,
right.
I think it's actually very feasible and very doable.
Right. But I don't think a big manufacturer is going to do it. I think it's going to.
I think it's going to be a big one. No, I agree.
The manufacturers are going to see all the stuff that they have to add, and everything has to be in it. We're so used to being linear thinkers with it that they'll never think of it. But the person that will think about it will be somebody like us in a little shop someplace that says, you know what? Why do I have to charge somebody a ton of money for a car? I don't have a little
shop. Damn it.
Yeah, right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to build a couple of cars. I'm going to see if they sell. They sell for $20,000. I just put some 4.3 liter V8s. They make 300 horsepower out of them. No, I don't have to worry much about regulation. And guess what? Now I'm the next rich guy out there that's giving something to people that they don't have because none of the big manufacturers want to give them what they want. And that's how you end up with MySpace dying and Facebook taking over or whatever other company. Hey, Blockbuster didn't want to do something new. Now Netflix takes over. Who's the next automotive Netflix is really the question that we're talking. And I think it's going to be the person that doesn't think forward. I think it's going to be the person that thinks back. What do you guys feel about that?
It's going to be the.
What's that, Danny?
Let's get him.
It's going to be them all them backwoods car customization shops that's going to make the money off of it.
Well, I hope
it's been that way for you. It's been that way for years.
And I hope that
I remember the first time I put installed an iPad in a car.
Yeah. But the thing I hope is that the regulation out there doesn't choke those little guys out like they tried to do for the diesel techs. And I hope that it allows them to be who they want to be and grow out of it. And maybe we learn something out of it. All right. Reggie, are you out there? Can you hear? Because we're about ready to close up here. Is he in the I'm gonna message him real quick. Oh, there you are. Is that him?
There he is.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Joel Chappell of NewEnglandAutoShows.com, Sergio Suja of the Swift Car Club, and Denny Mack, who is just an all-around enthusiast and as always our humble master of all the ZCS, which is Reggie. Remember that we are a weekly car show that talks about all different automotive topics. If you have a car show, if you have a place that you do stuff, if whatever you have that you're interested, we're interested in having you come on and talk about your stuff with our panel, having discussions, thinking about new ideas, changing the world one person at a time. Remember, if you want to check us out, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all different places. It's ecsmagazine.com. And our show is thankfully sponsored by Control Freak, controlfreakcompany.com. So if you didn't see us tonight, if you want to see the after show, if you will, and you watched everything, remember that you can catch us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. with our awesome cast of people here. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and we hope you see you next week. So you guys take care, and we will be back next time.